This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
Get the best quality craftsmanship in the Black Hills with Black Mountain Painting. Your home or business deserves the best, and our skilled team of painters is dedicated to delivering a level of quality that exceeds your expectations. Join the ranks of satisfied customers who have experienced the transformative power of Black Mountain's commitment to excellence. Black Mountain Painting, where quality meets craftsmanship. Call us today, 605-661-8612, or visit us online at blackmountainenterprises.com.
Hello and welcome back to the very first edition of First Amendment Media Sports' Next Level. I'm Colton Hall, and today we are joined by Brayden and Brayden Delahoyde. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Well, glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited because, first of all, like we'd mentioned before the show, my mom graduated from SDSU, so I kind of told her about this when she's freaking out a little bit. So I wanted to start by talking about the original decision, what led to SDSU, and just kind of what led there.
My junior year, I got invited to a junior day, just kind of typical. I got invited to quite a few of them, Moorhead, Mankato, just a bunch of this kind of D2 NAI schools. SDSU reached out, and honestly, I kind of just thought it was just another spam team. So my junior year, I really didn't even do much about it. No, it was my sophomore year when they sent the first one out. And then my junior year, they started getting a little more serious. Chris Meyer, the tight ends coach, just got there, and he texted me and was saying that I should come up and visit, and we were already going to go East River. We're going to go visit Moorhead and Mankato, so we're just we can swing by. But so yeah, it was really cool. They let us do pretty much a one-on-one type of visit because we were in Minnesota that entire Saturday. So on Sunday we went to Brookings, and I mean, just the fact that they would let us go just for a one-on-one just kind of showed how bad they wanted me there. So I mean, it was pretty awesome just to have that, just a coach that just really wanted to meet me and all that. And so yeah, then I did that, and then in June they had the prospect camp that I went to, and it was then is when they offered me, and I think it took me 3 days to decide, and Ted told them I'd commit there, and yeah.
That's awesome. And I feel like as a parent too, this is kind of something that D1, D2, everybody kind of puts a big deal in it. What does it mean to you to see kind of Brayden taking that next step?
Well, as a father, you always wish and hope, especially when they're athletic, to go to a D1 school. Of course, most people think of D1 as the Alabamas, the LSUs, the big schools. And so when Brayden approached us and said, SDSU is really getting pretty serious, getting pretty interested in me, I at first chalked it up to it's just another school. I grew up in the Black Hills. I graduated from Spearfish myself, and so SDSU was always that other school. I went to BH. I actually played football for a hot second at BHSU. So at first it was just another school, until I really dove into what they were all about, and realized that they were actually a D1 school. And yeah, I got pretty excited then. Like Brayden said, we went to a couple of junior days out in Minnesota, and they weren't nearly as exciting as I'd hoped as a father, and I think Brayden can concur that it was just going through the motions, kind of, you know what I mean? And then, like he said, Coach Myers said, "Hey, we'll do a one-on-one with you on Sunday." And when we pulled up, as a parent, your big thing is this the right place for my kid? Is this some place that I feel comfortable leaving my son. And I'll tell you what, the entire time that we were there, all 3 visits basically, we have walked away just going, we're dumb for even thinking that there's another school that's better. I mean, it is one of those that it's cliche to say, but it just felt right from the jump. Minute 1, it was the right place.
That's awesome. And Brayden, I feel like over the last couple of years too, it felt like, and I could be wrong here, but over the last couple of years, obviously they're back-to-back defending national champions. Did that play a role in kind of deciding to go there?
So when I went there, they just had won the first one, and the first thing they showed us was the national championship trophy, and I got to hold it. And I mean, it was just awesome. And then they also have the rock between NDSU and SDSU, and they won it that year too. And it's a lot heavier than it looks. So yeah, I mean, it was just seeing everything. The environment there is just unreal. I mean, you go from Spearfish, South Dakota, and what we have here, which, well, I love Spearfish, but it's just a whole different environment. It's just awesome.
Yeah. What do you think as far as like expectations wise, talking with Coach Meyer, talking with the coaching staff, what do you see as kind of being your role as a freshman coming on?
Honestly, it's kind of, I'm going there in June. So right away, it's summer stuff all through the summer. And then honestly, it's just kind of playing it by ear. More than likely a redshirt year, but who honestly knows? Yeah.
Okay. Do you, so you're going to play tight end as well, and you're majoring in business.
Yep.
And can you talk a little bit about the idea of just going into business and maybe just kind of your expectations of the college experience?
So, I mean, going through high school, freshman, sophomore, junior year, I just did not want to go to college. You hear it so much that so many people get degrees, they don't use it, they're in debt. So when I decided that I did want to go to college and I wanted to try this football thing out, I was just like, I want a degree that I can use and not waste my money. So that was the big thing of business. So just hearing just honestly, parents, friends, and just that's what business degree is, just a very universal degree. So
To add to that, the funny part is as big as Brayden is, sometimes you forget, when he's 14 years old and is looking you square eye to eye, you kind of forget that he's 14. And yeah, he was just dead set his freshman, sophomore year. He was like, I am not going to school. He has never been a big fan of classes and the high school experience. And he was just like dead set. I'm not doing that. I'll go into a trade. And me and his mom, have always supported that, hey, there's a lot of money to be made, and there's no shame in being an electrician or a plumber or a carpenter or whatever. When the schools started to get a little interested, we sat him down and we were like, listen, don't be me. Don't be a 50-year-old guy that is what if I had really taken that jump and bought into the university life and went and got a degree. I said, and this is the part where we kind of forget how young he was. I think honestly, and I don't know if Brayden would agree with this, but at that point, I think he really thought college life was like high school life, where you get up, you go to school all day, and then go to football practice after that. And so me and Mom sat him down. We were like, if you don't want to take a class until 10, don't take a class until 10. Obviously there are circumstances where one class might be only offered at 8 a.m., but for the most part, you get to set your schedule. You get to take classes that you're interested in, not, things that you have to.
Yep.
And I think that kind of opened his eyes a little bit. And then he started to be more accepting of the idea, especially when football teams and schools started showing interest in his classes. So yeah, we just told him, if somebody is willing to pay basically for you to go to school, do it for a year, do it wholeheartedly, buy in for that first year, do it 100%. Don't half-ass it. Don't only go to class when you want. And that, I said, you go to every class, you go to every meeting, you go to every lifting, you buy into the program.
This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
And if after that first year, it isn't something that you're excited about, be done. At least then at 50 years old, you don't have to look back and go, what if?
Yep.
And that's kind of where the whole journey started for us is just basically getting everybody on the same page and looking at, okay, this is your life coming up, but have all the information that you need before you decide. Like I said, if he had decided not to go to school, we're okay with that.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and that kind of leads into my next thing, or that's an excellent segue, because I was going to ask really about the idea of kind of choosing your own schedule, because you have a lot of flexibility in college. Obviously, we talked about it with being able to potentially not take a class until 10, or and then having to go to football after that. What do you expect out of that experience? Just kind of being able to really determine your own schedule.
I'm excited. Yeah, obviously high school is 8:15 to 3:15, so it's just more of a job, it feels like. But I think with the college experience, because like my mom played basketball at BH, and she was the one that honestly was like kind of really talking about it's not like high school, it's a complete different thing. And then just hearing other people, like teachers in our school, saying it's the best time of your life's college. So it was kind of hard for me to be like, well, maybe I should do this instead. Especially if I get to play football and keep doing what I love, I'm not gonna give that up.
Yeah. And also another thing I kind of want to touch on too is like, okay, Spearfish actually had a really good season last year. Like I feel like just top to bottom, just very talented team. And I, just kind of looking at what you guys did last year, how do you think the success you saw as in Spearfish this last year will hopefully translate to being with SDSU?
This year I tore my knee up in the week 3, but other than that, honestly, it was probably one of the best things for me, just to be able to fill that leadership spot. But it was everyone just stepped up this year, and honestly, there was kids, younger classmen that hadn't bought in until this year, and I just hearing it from now, just from like juniors that are going to be seniors, they are excited and they want to be there, and that's something that like my freshman year we had 22 guys at the end of the season, and it was I think 12 freshmen, and the rest I think we had 3 seniors or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't very many.
But that's the one thing that Coach Wademan, obviously he's not going to be the coach next year. It's going to be another coach that we had this year, but everyone's just excited. And I just as a player and now going to be a fan of Spearfish, it's awesome.
Yeah. Is senioritis set in a little bit, or is it kind of like
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
I completely get it. So you leave for Brookings in June, right?
Yep.
Okay. And that's just part of like training camp and all that kind of stuff?
Yep, just kind of like an intro just to get us ready for what's to come. It's
the whole summer.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll graduate into May, and he has to report to Brookings first week in June. So
wow.
As parents, we're counting the days
Yeah.
down. Sometimes blissfully, sometimes
Hopefully,
unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you because also obviously college football is way different than high school football, just in terms of both in speed and strength and all that stuff. How do you really see, both from that aspect of it, the training aspect of it? How do you expect that to kind of be different?
So when they get there, obviously I'm gonna put weight on. So right now I played this football season at like 215, but so like next year I'll be playing around like 245, 250. And just talking with their strength and conditioning coach, it's not bad weight. Like you're going to get stronger, faster, everything you want out of gaining weight. So I'm excited to see what I could really do. I feel like it's always kind of been like, kind of underweight, but it'll be exciting just to see like the whole different game. Even we went for our official visit and we watched the first round of playoffs against Mercer. It wasn't much of a game, but it was just everyone's so much bigger and stronger, and honestly, that's the big thing with SDSU too. At that game, I got to be in the locker room, pregame, postgame, and the environment is just unreal. Like it's everyone's excited to be there, and that's something I'm really excited to be part of.
Even as a fan, and a former player, if you don't get that spark and that electric feeling of let's go do this, man, you are in the wrong sport. Because even the intro of the team coming out onto the field is just electric. Sitting in the stands as just a fan, yeah, you can't but get excited.
And I think that's especially that's really cool when the fact that you were there for the first round of the playoffs. Do you have you met any of your teammates yet or?
Yes, I actually. They have hosts there. Davin, I can't remember his last name. He is a tight end there, and he just kind of showed me around more of without the coaches. It was just him and me, and it was just kind of showed me more of the student part of it, friend wise. And I was up there last weekend, and yeah, I got to meet some more football players, and everyone's so welcoming there. I met 4-year seniors, and all of them were just right away, just what's your name? How's it going? Are you excited? And it's more of a family there. I feel from the other schools that we visited, it was more people were doing it for a job. And I feel at SDSU, it's more of, and that's why they're winning, is because it's more of a family. And that's just something I'm also really stoked to be part of.
That's special.
Yeah.
And and I'm assuming you were originally recruited under Coach Steigelmeier. Is that, hopefully that's how you say it, or was it the?
So it was, yes.
Yeah, Stig was still the
Stig. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's short. I think you actually did pronounce it correct.
Okay.
But they call him Coach Stig, who
Okay.
he is almost godlike in Brookings.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that man has done so much for the program. And
This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
he was definitely.
It was him, but it was more of Coach Lujan, the offensive coordinator. He just left this year. He went to Northwestern, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Lujan was a really big thing in it, and he reached out right away. And I never did talk to Coach Stig, but then when Coach Rogers, when he first got the job, he introduced himself right away, and it was obviously intimidating.
Yeah.
He's not that big of a dude, but man, is he intimidating.
He takes over a room, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Just by the way he looks as he walks into the room. He's not 6'6", 350 pounds. He's maybe, if he
5'10".
pushes 6 foot, I would be shocked. He'd probably have to stand on a box at 6 foot. But I'll tell you what, he demands the room when he walks in, and he's been nothing but a professional and a just stand-up guy. I mean, he sat us down 2 different times and talked, hour and a half with just me and Brayden and his mom, and just kind of went through the whole program and what they expect and whatnot. Yeah, for a guy that he was literally the Friday night on our official visit, he's trying to get ready mentally and for a playoff game, and we sat in his office for over an hour. I know.
Yeah, and that was the thing is, you just have a coach like that wants to build a relationship. He talks to hundreds and hundreds of kids, obviously, just with recruiting and stuff. But the fact that he would sit down and just talk to you and really try to get to know you that was also a really big thing. He was, trying to build that relationship, trying to get to know you, which was
And that was the
awesome.
same with Coach Myers. I mean, Brayden would come upstairs from his bedroom and be like, "Yep, Coach Myers texted or called," and they would talk constantly, and never just about football or just about grades. I mean, Brayden's an avid hunter, avid outdoorsman, and there was more times that Brayden would say, "Yeah, he was just asking if I got my buck this weekend," or that whole program is just, it's a different program for the positive. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Because then it's not just about football. It really is about relationships.
It is a family.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing to follow up with what Brayden said is when we went down for his official visit, like I said, they're trying to get ready to play Mercer, and Brayden walked out onto the field for their Friday night walkthrough, and the players just opened up, let Brayden walk in, and they closed ranks around him. I mean, he was accepted the second he walked on that football field.
Yeah, the coolest thing was the Friday night, the night before we got there, and they had a walkthrough on the field, and it was cold. I didn't dress right, but walking on the field, and they were just doing a walkthrough, and Zach Hines, their tight end, came right up to me, introduced himself to me, and I mean, just the fact that he's not even going to be there next year and he's excited for what's to come it speaks such volumes. And then also they have on their helmets JFPA, Jackrabbits Former Player Association, which is a newer thing.
That's, yeah. I mean, I
But-
would say within the last 5,
10
maybe
years,
a little
okay.
bit longer.
It's super cool. Just the things that they will do, like the helmets, every single helmet they bought, the JFPA paid for, and I mean they just do so much. And that's what's really cool is that even after they graduate and are done with football, they're still part of something. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm also really excited for.
That Former Players Association, they buy every helmet for the senior. So when you're done playing, you take your helmet with you.
Really?
They had a all black uniform this last season it was fire. It was
Nice.
I'm using that kid lingo. But the Jacket Players Association paid for all of those. I mean, and that's one of the big things that Coach Rogers talked about is that program doesn't want for very much. I mean, if he needs this, he goes to the Players Association, says, hey, we want to do this or whatever it is. And those former players buck up and somehow raise the money.
That's awesome.
Doesn't help that you have a few NFL players in the
Yeah.
in the mix with you.
Well, and that's another thing too. Is like that's interesting. When you talk about being recruited, I feel like as a player, you want to go to the area, you want to go to the school that actually may potentially have a history of sending players to the NFL. I mean, you look at Dallas Goddard, like we had talked about. You looked at Tucker Kraft, who was just drafted last year by the Packers. I'm a Vikings fan, so that one kind of hurt.
Yeah, I bet you it did.
Yeah. Now he's playing really well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that had to play a role in it too. Just being like going to a pedigree like that. What was that?
They have their little nickname TEU, Tight End University. Even when I was there, there's like, I think they recruited 2 or 3 more tight ends in my class.
Okay.
And
they got a big one.
yeah, from
out of,
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
He's a big dude. But no, they're definitely doing something right. I mean, just looking at track records, Zach Hines will probably go play in that next level too. So
Yep.
it's exciting to go to somewhere that if I really wanted to and if I really tried, that is a possibility. It's within reach. So
Yep. Do you and also kind of just seeing you like in watching your high school tape, really out wide a lot? Do you see yourself like how are you seeing that transition playing from out wide to maybe being more of an inline tight end blocking, that kind of a thing?
yeah, that was a big thing with Coach Myers, which obviously props to him. He's been awesome for us, and
Yep.
he that was his big thing is because Tucker Kraft was a running back in high school, so that's his thing is he doesn't want to find tight ends. He wants to find football players and make them tight ends. So that's what on my prospect camp, that was like the one thing that he was kind of worried about was me getting my hand in the dirt. But he's like told me that's coachable. And
This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
Get the best quality craftsmanship in the Black Hills with Black Mountain Painting. Your home or business deserves the best, and our skilled team of painters is dedicated to delivering a level of quality that exceeds your expectations. Join the ranks of satisfied customers who have experienced the transformative power of Black Mountain's commitment to excellence. Black Mountain Painting, where quality meets craftsmanship. Call us today, 605-661-8612, or visit us online at blackmountainenterprises.com.
And putting a helmet or a body on somebody,
Right.
you know, having to engage that defensive end or that outside linebacker.
Oh yeah.
Who
Run
is
game.
not a small dude.
Nope.
You know, and they actually just released a video that Coach Myers goes through and talks about all 2024 prospects. And he actually, you know, when he talks about Brayden, he's like, he's a super raw for that position. It's going to take him a minute to learn that. But Myers has said from jump that, hey, your athleticism is what we want. We can teach the other stuff. If you want and if you buy in, the sky's the limit for you. You know,
That was the first thing when you said, when I got the text, tight end coach, I was like, it's a little much. I'm used to being like 190 playing receiver. But I mean, that was the first thing I kind of was talking about is I've never done it. And his confidence was it just took all that like fret away from it. Like,
yeah. Well, you did do it a little bit in middle school, if you can, and junior pee wee, and you know when you probably had the best coach you've ever had in your life. I did make him play tight end. He did squeal a little bit about it.
I get it.
In fact, there was a conversation at one point where he said he didn't want to play football anymore if he had to play tight end.
It's definitely a different position from wide receiver.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
But I'm excited because I feel like that's, like they said, you can't coach speed. Like you can't coach athleticism. So if you have that and they can mold you to whatever, I think that's going to be really cool to watch.
Yeah.
No, I think that's kind of all the questions I had. Is there anything else I missed or anything else you guys would like to add? Just kind of about whether it's the recruiting process or whether it's going to SDSU, really whatever, it's your guys' floor.
Yeah. Really?
The only thing I would say for anybody watching this video as far as a parent goes is don't live your life and your dreams through the kid and push a school on them that they don't necessarily have on their radar. And then secondly, listen to your gut. You know what I mean? Like we walked into, and I'm not one of the Minnesota schools, I won't throw them under the bus, but their whole junior day was a fiasco.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just absolutely from the moment we walked in the door, it was chaotic. It was disorganized. The coach actually got up on a piece of scaffolding in the middle of their indoor practice facility, which is huge. I mean, let's be honest, it's still a big time school.
Yeah.
With 400 plus kids there for their junior day, with their girls softball team taking batting practice in the background, a girls soccer game going on half the field, no mic, no nothing, and he starts trying to communicate to 400 plus kids. So right from the jump, we were just like, no. Well, in fact, Brayden even said as soon as we were walking back to the vehicle, he's like, I am so glad that we have a meeting with SDSU, because if that was the only reason that we drove across the state and into Minnesota was to go to that, I would be pissed.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
And that's when I realized big time that Brayden does have a fire to do this. And he has gotten mad at me more than once because I am so scared of pushing collegiate sports on him. I'm a dad. I would love to see him play on Sundays, obviously. But if the love and the desire isn't there for him, I have no right to keep pushing. And so, yes, there's been many a conversation that I'm like, Brayden, hey man, if you don't want to do this, this is you. I mean, you just tell us. And yeah, he has finally gotten to the point where he's like, don't say it. Don't you say it.
And the other big thing is, I mean, there's other football players, like just in my class, I have a really good friend, Dawson Wood. He's going to go play football at Dickinson State. And I mean, honestly, I'm probably more excited for him to go play at Dickinson than I am to play at SDSU. So I think the big thing is like recruiting wise, D1 obviously it's D1. It has the aroma around it, whatever. Any collegiate sport is you made it. Like I think that's the big stigma around it right now is if you're not D1, you didn't make it, which I mean, I'm FCS D1, so it's like not that big, but like it's still like pretty cool. Yeah. But I think that's a big thing that kids are just, they don't want to go play college sports because it's not D1. And I think that's something that needs to kind of change.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that what were they saying? 7% of high school athletes go on to play collegiately and that's not D1, that's collegiately across the board. So if you're in that 7%, like Brayden just said, you've made it. Yep. I mean, now the mentality has to change of, all right, I'm at an NAIA school, but you know what? With the way media coverage is now, social media and all of that kind of stuff, if you ball out and you prove yourself, NFL scouts, Division I, FCS scouts, FBS scouts, they find you.
Yep.
I mean, all you have to do is get the opportunity to get on a platform. NAI, it doesn't matter.
Takes one coach.
Takes one coach, takes one player to buy in and believe in himself and the program. The sky's the limit for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going to a Division I school, it's a step up.
Yep.
And you're already kind of ahead of the pack. But Brayden has a long road ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had multiple coaches at SDSU that say, you're big enough, fast enough, and strong enough to play in the NFL. But it's not going to just get handed to him.
Right.
You know, if he goes in there and only goes half, he'll get to live his dream of being a trade school graduate too. Because at the end of the day, they don't just take a slouch to go, you know, block a Ray Lewis or any of the, you know, not that he plays anymore, but
same type of player.
You can't just think, oh, well, I'm a D1 player, I'm going to the NFL. No, that's a small pipe dream.
Yeah.
Well, I think even Coach Rogers even told us, because he'd been there the entire time when Stig was there, and he coached Tucker Kraft the entire time, and Tucker Kraft, like he even said, Tucker Kraft was one of the worst players in the team his freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, there was even coaches coming up to him like, why is this kid on our team?
Yeah.
And now he's playing on Sundays, and he's doing very, very well on Sundays. So, I mean, it's honestly just a big thing to you just got to buy in.
Yeah.
And that was like, honestly, with football, I had never really bought in until my junior and senior year, and it changes your entire just look on everything. It's just, honestly, if every single kid at every single school would just buy in, it would just be...
Friday night football would be way more exciting if every kid bought in.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to Coach Wademan at Spearfish. Without him, I don't know as though Brayden's playing football anymore. The program was in pretty big disarray when Wademan took over, and that was right during the COVID. So, like, that whole summer prior to Brayden's freshman year was all Zoom meetings. I mean, they didn't have open fields. They didn't have a chance. I mean, Brayden met Coach Wademan via Zoom meeting the first time, wasn't it?
No, he came and introduced himself to the 8th graders. When we were 8th graders, he introduced himself.
Oh. But
he did like a cool like little signing day. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, Wademan has really taken that program to the next level. I mean, obviously, we're in a AA class. Spearfish is pretty undersized as compared to some of them East River schools.
Yeah.
This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
So they are definitely doing the David versus Goliath when you have to play T area and Yankton and even Watertown. I mean, Watertown isn't a big town, but man, those boys have bought into their program. And so a big shout out to Wademan, Coach Wademan. He's been nothing but awesome for the whole program, but specifically to Brayden. I mean, he really took Brayden under his wing and made him love the game again.
Going from our freshman year, going a defeated season, didn't win a single game. I think our closest game was with like 30 points. And I mean, it takes a lot out of you. You don't want to go do it again. You don't want to go get embarrassed every single Friday.
And ride on a bus 7 hours to go do it.
Right, exactly. Going across the entire state just to go know when you're going to go lose. And then to go in from like my junior year where we go across state and be like, we actually have a shot at this game. And I think that's just a really cool thing that Wademan really, really taught us was that everyone puts their pants on the same way. Like, even though they might be bigger, stronger, faster, they're still playing football just like you are. So.
Yep, you're the same size school once you cross that out of bounds line. It's only 11 guys out there. No, I mean, talking about Coach Wademan and the hill he's had to climb. I mean, the last game that the Spearfish Spartans played before he took over was a loss to Pierre, 103-0. That score right there, that's a program killer. I mean,
National news, yeah.
yeah, we were on ESPN for it. I mean, that is a type of score that you literally close up shop because you do not have enough boys that are willing to go out and put those pads on and play football when you know, oh my God, this team just lost 103 to nothing. Yeah. Nothing against the prior coach, nothing against anything prior to that, but that's what Wademan walked into was that stigma, and he took that program with a lot of those boys that were on that field and told them, hey, listen, that doesn't define you. That does not define you as a player. That does not define your program. That was Derek Webster. His senior year was Brayden's freshman year. And Derek Webster was an amazing senior for that class.
Yeah, he took every single freshman under his wing. That's when I think every single one of us in my class, when we were freshmen, all decided that, hey, when I'm a senior, I want to be just like Derek. He had that kind of just leadership that everyone wants. And then it's just to have that, especially because he was on the team when they lost 103-0. He played in that game. He was part of it. The next year, very first practice, he's smiling, happy to be there. And then that's just speaks volumes on him. And
yeah. And as a parent, you always have a little bit of tendency to be weary of seniors wanting to take your freshman son and go hang out and jump off bridges into the creeks. And, I was a senior boy at one time. My halo does not shine very bright. So there was a moment of conversation between mom and dad where we're like, hey, is this such a great idea that this senior, and not just Derek wasn't the issue. It was the fact that he was a senior. My son was a freshman. Nothing to do with Derek as an individual. But there was definitely a conversation there. And that's when mom and dad, and that's the other thing is parents have to let their kids grow up a little bit. You know what I mean? Obviously, you still have to have a tendency of making sure they're making good choices.
Yep.
But if you've done your job prior to that, that's not an issue, So, but you have to let them spread their wings. You have to let them get into, I don't want to say trouble, but put them in situations where they're dealing with upperclassmen on a one-on-one basis. Like I said, if you've raised them right, they're going to make the right choice. If there's choices to be made there, you got to be confident in your parenting skills at that point. So yeah, we let Brayden go to areas and places with senior boys that summer before his freshman year that might not, to some people, might not have been a great idea, but we were like, this program has to
Gel.
Yeah. And the only way to do that is we as parents have to step back.
Yeah.
And so, all the seniors that first year were awesome.
yeah, I think those seniors, my freshman year was a big reason when we beat Sturgis my sophomore year.
Yeah.
It's a good day.
Notice the,
But they had a big part of that. I mean, just the next year, all the seniors that year, I think that was Peyton Mills' class, and
yep.
he was very much of wanting to do the same thing Derek did. I think every single kid that played on the football team wanted to be like him. And when we won that game, that was probably my favorite football memory, just because just to see all of our hard work pay off. And honestly, it was the seniors of the class before, which sounds crazy to say because they're not even on the football team, but they had such a big part in that game, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As a dad, my favorite moment was Brayden's freshman year against Pierre. He had a huge game, almost 200 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns.
Almost 270.
Oh, sorry. Jeez. But his third touchdown was a sky ball. He went up, high pointed a ball between 2 other defenders. And yeah, that would be the memory that I take away from his senior year. That or else the first play of his senior year, the 86-yarder. Luckily, we have had a duo with him and Seth Hamilton, the quarterback. Man, we could sit here for hours. Seth and his family actually grew up right across the street from us.
Me and Seth have known each other since we were a year old.
They actually went to the same daycare.
No way.
Yeah, which was my aunt. So his great aunt was his daycare provider, and Seth and him, we have multitude of pictures of I'm going to hold ransom over their heads as, the day they graduate.
Yep.
But me and Seth's dad always giggle and laugh about the hijinks of these two. I mean, there's always been a competitive. They're like brothers. They're worse than brothers.
Fought like brothers.
Yes. Many a bloody knee after a basketball one-on-one game, or a black eye after a game of lightning or something like that.
Yep.
Followed closely right behind with that was one of those where that happened in school. Oops. And parents were called, and in-school suspensions were done, and we're meeting with the principal, talking about Brayden and Seth getting into a fist fight in the gym over a game of lightning. And Brayden and Seth are across the street at McDonald's sharing a Happy Meal. I mean, that's the demeanor of these two is they've always been very competitive with each other, but they've always been good friends.
Which is honestly, Seth Hamilton is probably like the biggest reason he's pushed me every single day. I can remember distinctly me at practice wanting to kill him because he's screaming at me to do better. And honestly, without that, I wouldn't be where I am. And then Caden Langenfeld, same thing.
Caden.
He's pushed me every single day, and he's just always, those two have just been brothers to me. And I owe everything to them, honestly.
Yeah, no, it really helped Brayden's numbers having Seth, who, as a freshman, could throw a dime at 35 yards. I mean, it makes being a receiver a whole lot easier when you don't have to run 30 yards out and 25 yards to the left to get to the football to make a catch.
Oh, no.
So Seth's been great. Caden and his whole family, his dad and his lady friend have been amazing to Brayden. Brayden has always, I guess, I don't know, maybe people would disagree, but Brayden's always been the spotlight kid. He's always been bigger, taller, and he always gets picked out of the group. You know, you could have 5 kids doing the exact same thing, and the only one that gets disciplined for it is, you know, the kid that's head and shoulders taller than everybody else. But so Brayden has always struggled with guys or with adults and people in charge of kind of being the target. You know, if I can get him under control, then the rest of them will fall into line.
Yeah.
But Larry and the Langenfeld family have always taken Brayden for Brayden. You know, he can go hang out with them, hunt and fish and whatever, and he can be a kid. You know, he doesn't have to always be on guard of, all right, you know, who's going to yell at me now, and whose example am I going to be used for?
Yeah.
So yeah, Larry and his family have been awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing, I think, is kids nowadays just want to be part of the cool group. I think you just got to find your core and then have your core be a good group of guys. And that's what, honestly, our senior class, we're so tight. And just on the football team, all of us, I mean, we've hung out thousands and thousands of times. Just honestly, we could be doing anything from a pickup game of basketball to playing tennis. So it's pretty awesome to have a group like that and to be that close with somebody, like to have it be a brotherhood. And that's what honestly is what made football so fun for me, because there's nothing like it. You can play it. I've played pretty much every single sport, but there's no brotherhood, no camaraderie like football. And that's why I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah. The last thing I'd say about Jackrabbit football is we met with the mental health coach part of it on his official visit. And if I had any lingering doubt if SDSU was the place to be, that guy answered all my questions, because he basically said this is the first position or the first place that he's been where, you know, brotherhood gets thrown around a lot in the world of football, that everybody, oh, this is a brotherhood, this is this, and you never see it. You have the starters over here in your group, and you've got these guys. I mean, there's even times where we've seen teams where they're divided by grade level. I mean, seniors are here and juniors are here. This was, and I noticed this as soon as he said it, it really rang true. Is he's like, this is the first place where brotherhood is meant. And he said, you know, this is the first place that he's been where he hears the word "I love you," or he hears those words multiple times a day. And he looked at all of us dads, and he's like, how hard is it for you to tell another guy that you love him? And he's like, I hear it 10 to 15 times a day between players and players, coaches and players, coaches and coaches. He's like, this is the first place where they believe it, that it is a brotherhood. And he's like, and the other thing I noticed is he brought up that team is taught to show respect and whatnot. And he's like, they're told to open doors for people. And it was literally at that moment I was like, he's right. I've never opened a door. I have never held onto a door handle in SDSU at Brookings, South Dakota, because if there's a player there or a coach, that door is open for you. You're greeted. You're asked if they could help. It is just it's on a completely different level. It is amazing. It's a great place.
Sounds so cliche, but yeah, it just feels like home.
Yep. It is the one place where I feel confident I can leave my son and he will develop into a better person at the end of the day. You know,
That's the big thing.
Even if football doesn't take him to the promised land of Sunday afternoons, he's going to be a better person when he leaves SDSU because of the program. Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for stopping by and everything. That was, I think that was the best way to end it. Thank you guys so much for being the inaugural one with the First Amendment Media Sports.
Well, thank you for the invitation to come out. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. So awesome. All right. So we'll see you guys for another episode of Next Level with First Amendment Media Sports next week.
This production is brought to you by Black Mountain Painting.
Get the best quality craftsmanship in the Black Hills with Black Mountain Painting. Your home or business deserves the best, and our skilled team of painters is dedicated to delivering a level of quality that exceeds your expectations. Join the ranks of satisfied customers who have experienced the transformative power of Black Mountain's commitment to excellence. Black Mountain Painting, where quality meets craftsmanship. Call us today, 605-661-8612, or visit us online at blackmountainenterprises.com.